Hi, John Chisholm with Ember Learning. Privileged to be with you again. We've been discussing difficult conversations, trying to empower you, give you some tools to be more effective with difficult conversations. Well, I got a powerful insight for you today. The insight is the frame that we want to put on the conversation in order to be more effective with it. So often, as we head into a difficult conversation, as we think about a difficult conversation, as we try and be successful in difficult conversation, the driving force is many times we're trying to win the argument. Key insight, you try and win the argument, you're going to put the relationship at risk. Let me say it again, because it's really critical. If you're trying to win the argument, you're going to put the relationship at risk. I want you to approach it in a completely different way, a completely different frame, a completely different paradigm to look at how you approach difficult conversations. The new paradigm being that we should look to approach the difficult conversation in such a way as to strengthen the relationship with the person we're in a difficult conversation with. Now, difficult conversations happen in so many different types of relationships. Relationships with family, relationships with work, all right? And so what the strength of relationship, John? Well, it depends about, are we talking about your boss? Are we talking about your direct report? Are we talking about a team member? Are we talking about your wife? Are we talking about your teenager? But strengthen the relationship. Don't try and win the argument. All right, so I want to go deeper on this thought about how we frame the conversation. It's not to attempt to win the argument in this difficult conversation. It's that we learn how to strengthen the relationship is the major frame on the conversation. And so I want to go deeper about that. I really want to help you really understand just how dramatic a shift that is. There's a really powerful word called paradigms. Joel Barker and Thomas Kuhn are two guys that really push that language into the business world. And a paradigm is fundamentally a worldview, an approach you take to looking at life, at issues, at problems, at effectiveness. And so it's much like a set of lenses, it's what you look through, and it's really a set of belief systems that you're looking through that frames a thought process, frames an argument. And I'm asking you to take a completely different frame to difficult conversations. I am no longer attempting to win an argument in the conversation. I'm attempting to strengthen the relationship. Strengthen the relationship in the difficult conversation. And so then I need to define the relationship. Who am I going to be in this difficult conversation with? It's my boss, or it's a team member, or it's my wife, or it's my teenager, or it's a neighbor. And so what I'm going to do is, again, I'm not like trying to become intimate in this relationship. Frame the relationship and how do I strengthen it? Take it for where it's at and just how do I move it forward? How do I strengthen it? And so if I'm trying to have a difficult conversation with my direct report, somebody I report to, I want to frame this conversation in such a way that the outcome is going to be the ability for him and her to work effectively with me. I want to strengthen the relationship. And that paradigm is powerful. It's a completely different approach. I'm saying it again because it's important. Too often, we're trying to win an argument. Get rid of that thought process. I'm in this difficult conversation. It's awkward, it's uncomfortable, and for all the reasons we talk about Ember Learning, I got some tools for you there. If you'll go visit us, here's the 8 reasons the difficult conversations are so hard. Get that insight about why is this so hard? Why is this so complicated? But now I'm telling you, reframe how you approach the conversation, and it's going to help you be so much more effective. I love this quote. So often, the way we look at the problem is the problem. All right? The way we look at the problem is our problem. And in difficult conversations, if the way we look at the problem is, I'm in this difficult conversation and they don't get me and I gotta, win them over in terms of I'm gonna win the argument, that is the problem and my ability to be effective in it. Because if somebody's winning, then that means somebody's losing. And when somebody's losing, it's gonna make the relationship worse. So you may win the argument, but you're gonna lose the relationship. You will not be effective in the long term in that kind of an environment. And so change the approach we're taking. I wanna strengthen the relationship. And so again, the significant problems we're facing, we're not gonna solve those problems at the same level of thoughts that we have when we create the problem. And so that insight again applies to what we're talking about here in terms of how we frame difficult conversations. Shift the focus, shift the frame. I'm trying to strengthen the relationship. Now we're going to be able to get someplace in that conversation in the difficult conversation that we may have never gotten before. So often I'm told, hey, this isn't working, I tried it, it doesn't work. And I'm saying healthy process is going to get you to places you've never been before in the conversation. All the tools we talk about are really, really critical. And so reframe, shift paradigms, approach the difficult conversation in a fundamentally different manner. I'm trying to strengthen the relationship, not win an argument. All right, so I have two quotes for you that I just think really reinforce what I'm talking about here. The first one is, the way we see the problem many times is the problem. And that is very applicable in that if the way we're looking at the problem is this, I'm going to try and get my point across, I'm trying to win the argument, that really may be the problem about why this is even a difficult conversation and why it's not being effective. And then I want to build on that. Albert Einstein just had this powerful quote about the significant problems we face cannot be solved by the same level of thinking that created them. And so that's just supporting the point I'm making, that the level of thought we have when this relationship got at risk, we're not going to be able to solve the problem at that same level of thinking. And I'm telling you, this shift in paradigm is at the heart of you learning how to be effective in solving the problem in the difficult conversation. Reframe it, try and strengthen the relationship. Watch that you're going to get places you never thought you could in how you process the difficult conversation. So I want to give you a word picture also. You know, something that all of us use maybe in our life is aspirin, because it's a pretty effective painkiller. The challenge with aspirin is that's all it does is it masks the pain, it doesn't fundamentally shift anything. And I just want you to also be thinking about that as you approach difficult conversations. I'm not just trying to make myself feel better, I'm not just trying to get through the conversation. I don't want to just mask what's really going on. Well, what's really going on is this relationship is strained, our ability to work together is strained. There's probably a topic, there's an issue that we need to process. But the approach I'm going to take is, I want to strengthen the relationship. I don't want to just feel better. I want to get to the heart of the matter. And the heart of the matter, many oftentimes, is this issue of relationship. It's not a topic, it's about you and I. And if we can take that approach, it's going to be powerful. Be careful about just using aspirin. It's a privilege being with you. Love being on this journey with you about difficult conversations to empower you to be more effective. Hoping this is helpful. We'll see you again soon.